I am going to tell you about the afternoon my own children tried to take my home away from me. And the hardest part is that they did it out of love, and I have never once doubted the love, not even on that day. They wanted to put me in a care home. I was 79 years old, and I said no. Sit with me a while. I had fallen the week before, a bruise on the hip, nothing more. But a neighbor saw me favoring the leg and made a telephone call, and by Sunday they had all come. My son, my daughter, the grandchildren out in the truck. There was a folder on my table, a picture of a clean brick building on the front. My son could not look at me, and the shame that came down was heavier than the fall, because I looked around my own table and saw they had stopped seeing their father and started seeing a problem to be solved. And in the middle of that shame, an old voice came back to me. My grandmother told me once, when they say you are too old to keep your own life, remember this. Standing on your own is not stubbornness. It is a discipline, and a discipline is a prayer you say with your hands. And no one has the right to take a person's prayers. Stay with me tonight, and I will give you the whole of it, the day and the one discipline that let me keep my own roof. I am not talking about the stubbornness of an old fool who would rather fall down the stairs than take an arm. That is pride, not dignity. I am talking about the quiet daily discipline that is really about dignity, and I will teach you the difference, so that when your Sunday comes you can say your no gently and make them understand. The first teaching. Independence in the old years is not one great refusal. It is 1,000 small disciplines kept daily that prove the life is still yours. When I was young, my grandfather showed me an old workhorse turned out to pasture, retired because they thought it a mercy. That horse stood at the fence each morning, watching the young ones go to the field. A creature not allowed its work does not feel rested, he said. It feels finished. So he gave it one small row to keep as its own, and it held its head up till the day it died, because a creature with its own work is still somebody. There was a man near us named Abel, strong all his life. After his wife passed, his children took him in and did every last thing for him, out of nothing but love. And inside 2 years, Abel, who had raised a barn with his own hands, could not fill a kettle. He did not die of anything a doctor could name. He died of having nothing left that was his to do. Kindness that does everything for you is not always kindness, my grandmother said. It can be a slow taking. Leave a person their own small work, or you take the soul out through the kindest door there is. Now before I go on, let me say one honest thing, and then I will keep my word and go straight back to the teaching. Everything my grandmother handed me, and 20 teachings more than I could fit into one evening by this fire, I gathered into a small book, so none of it would be lost when I am gone. I called it The Native Way. It is resting in the first comment below, for anyone who wants to sit with these words longer than one night allows. There is no hurry in it, and no cost to hearing me out tonight. So stay right where you are, because the next teaching is the very one that let me say no that Sunday and go on saying it. The second teaching, keep your own fire, because the day someone else keeps your fire for you, you have already moved out, even while your body is still sitting in the house. I have kept the same wood stove going for 50 winters, and there is a whole discipline to a fire that no young person sees. You lay it before you sleep. You rise in the cold dark and blow the coals awake before the light comes. You carry the wood and split it and know the dry from the green. A fire is not warmth handed to you. It is warmth you keep by your own hands every single day. And I have watched what happens to an old person when the fire is taken away. In those clean buildings, the heat comes out of the wall, warm and even and free, and you never lift a finger, and that is the trouble. A warmth you do not keep is a warmth that quietly tells you every hour that you are no longer needed to keep anything. There was a woman named Esther, a neighbor of mine for many years, and when her hands went bad, her family moved her where the heat came out of the wall. She told me on a visit, in a small voice, I have not been cold in a whole year, and I have not been warm either. I miss my own fire so bad some nights I could weep. My grandfather used to say, "A man is not kept alive by the heat in the room. He is kept alive by having something that depends on him to stay warm. Keep your own fire as long as your hands can lift the wood." It was never about the fire. It is about being the one who keeps it. The third teaching: tend one living thing, and you will never be finished, because a person who still makes something live is not a person who is being put away. My grandmother had a garden until the last spring of her life, and by the end it was 6 tomato plants and a short row of beans, all she could still bend to reach. People thought it a sad thing, this scrap of a garden where a great one used to stand. But she knew a secret they did not. "I do not keep this garden because I need the beans," she said. "I keep it because every morning something out there is waiting for me. Something will die if I do not get up, and a person that something waits for still has a reason to swing her legs out of the bed." There was an old man named Moses who, when he could no longer farm, planted one apple tree in his yard, a tree he was told plainly he would likely never live to see bear fruit. He watered it every evening of his last years. When I asked him why he would tend a tree whose apples he would never taste, he laughed at me. "You have it backwards, son," he said. "The tree is not keeping me busy until I die. The tree is the reason I am not dead yet." The old ones knew this one deep. Give your care to one living thing, a plant, an animal, a garden the size of a tabletop, and you have given yourself a tomorrow with your own name written on it. That is not a small thing. In the later years, that is very nearly everything. The fourth teaching: learn the difference between the silence you choose and the silence that is done to you. One is peace. The other is a cage that looks just like it. There is a quiet in my house on a winter evening that I would not trade for any company on earth. The fire ticking, the wind at the window, the old clock my father wound, and me in my chair choosing it. That silence is mine. I made it, and I can end it any time I please by walking to a neighbor's door. But there is another silence, and I have seen it in those clean, bright buildings, and it looks the same and is the opposite thing. It is the silence of a person sitting in a long row of chairs, waiting, with nothing of their own to rise and do, and no door of their own to walk out of. The first silence is a man sitting inside his own life. The second is a man sitting in the waiting room of his own ending. A woman I knew named Ada, sharp as a tack to her last day, told me after her children had moved her, the hardest thing is not the food, and it is not the strangers. It is that the quiet here is not mine. At home, when it was quiet, it was because I had chosen to be alone. Here, when it is quiet, it is because no one has come. It is the same silence, she said, and it is not the same silence at all. My grandmother said, "Guard the right to choose your own hours. A person who chooses their own solitude is rich. A person who has solitude poured down over them is a prisoner. The clock on your own wall, ticking in your own chosen quiet, is one of the last freedoms you own, and they will take it from you and call it care." The fifth teaching: take the hand when you need it. Just do not hand over the whole self along with it. There is all the difference in the world between the two. Now I must be honest, because I am not preaching that an old fool should refuse all help and break his neck to prove a point. That Sunday, my children were not villains. They were frightened. There is a particular fear in a child's eyes when they see their father down on the floor, and that fear is only love that does not yet know what to do with its hands. And here is what I learned to say to them. I told my son, "I will take your hand on the ice. I will let you carry the heavy things. I will even wear the button that calls for help, to ease your heart at night. But you must let me go on filling my own kettle, and laying my own fire, and tending my own beans. Because the day you do all of that for me, you will not have saved me. You will have quietly moved me out of my own life while my heart was still beating." Being old and needing a hand does not make you a burden, my grandmother said. You become a burden only on the day you hand somebody the whole of you to carry and stop carrying any part of yourself. Keep carrying your own small share, however light it has grown, and you are no man's burden. You are still a person doing his part, and any child with sense will feel the difference and be proud of you for it. My son wept when I said it, but he understood. And in the end, he was the one who turned to the others and said, "We are not moving him. We are going to help him stay." The sixth teaching. Standing on your own, in the end, is not about refusing anyone. It is the last true gift you have left to give, and that is why it is worth keeping. That is its dignity. Go and look at an old tree that stands alone at the top of a bare hill, the kind that has taken the wind by itself for 100 years. No one holds it up. It holds its own self up. And every creature for a mile knows that tree, and steers by it, and rests in its shade, precisely because it stands there alone. If you propped that tree up with posts and wrapped it in ropes to keep it safe, you would keep it standing and in the same motion take away the one thing it was. Its whole meaning was that it stood on its own. The old ones knew that an elder standing on his own 2 feet is not being selfish. He is teaching. Every grandchild who watched me lay my own fire at 79 learned a thing no lecture could ever teach them, that a life can be carried with dignity all the way to the door. When you fight to keep your independence, you are not being stubborn, and you are not only serving yourself. You are showing the ones behind you that the last years can be stood through upright and met without being handed away. There is no lesson you will leave them worth more than that one. My grandmother said, "Child, the greatest thing you will ever hand your grandchildren is the plain sight of you standing on your own for as long as you are able. Not because you would not take their arm, but because you taught them, only by standing, that they too will be able to stand when their own Sunday comes. Now let me gather these 6 up, the way my grandmother gathered her herbs at dusk, a few stems at a time, tied so nothing is lost. Independence is not one great refusal. It is 1,000 small disciplines kept daily that prove the life is still yours. Keep your own fire, as long as your hands can lift the wood. Tend one living thing, so that every morning has your own name written on it. Guard the silence you choose, and never let anyone pour a silence down over you and call it care. Take the hand when you truly need it, but keep carrying your own small share, and you will be no one's burden. And know above all, that standing on your own is the last gift you have left to give, and its name is dignity. I am an old man now, and I will tell you how that Sunday ended. I did not shout. I did not knock the folder off the table. I did the thing my grandmother taught me. I took my son's hand and told him I would take his help on the ice and with the heavy things, and asked him to leave me my fire and my garden and my own quiet evenings. And I watched the fear go slowly out of his eyes, and something like respect come in its place. They did not move me. That was 3 years ago. And I am telling you this from the same chair, by the same fire I laid this morning. With the frost still on the beans, I will go out and see to when we are done. They never did fully understand why I fought so hard for such small things. A fire, a garden, an hour of my own quiet. But you understand it now, because I have told you what those things truly are. They are not small at all. They are the 1,000 daily prayers that a life is still mine to live, and a person who keeps saying those prayers right to the end does not need to be locked away somewhere clean to be kept safe. He needs only to be left the plain dignity of standing, with a kind hand nearby for the ice. The world will tell you that when you begin to slow down, the loving thing is to be taken care of completely, to set the whole weight of your life down and let others carry every last bit of it. I am near enough now to the end to be believed, and I tell you the old ones knew better. Keep your own small work. Keep your own fire. Stand as long as you are able, and take the hand only for the ice. That is not stubbornness. That is the last quiet dignity of a human life, and no one, however much they love you, has the right to take it before its time. If these words sat with you tonight, I gathered every one of them, and 20 teachings more, into that small book, The Native Way. It is waiting in the first comment below, and in the quiet place under this video. There is no hurry in it. Take one teaching and read it slow and sit with it overnight, and let it do its slow work in you, the way the old ones let everything do its slow work. And before you go, do one thing for me. Down in the comments, tell me the one small daily thing you would fight to keep doing for yourself, right to the very end. Your own fire, your own garden, your own morning coffee, made your own way. Name it where I can see it so it is spoken out loud once tonight. And then stay close and come sit with us again, because you are part of the people who remember, and the people who remember are never truly put away.